Very good. I'm getting thumbs up. Thanks, everyone. And thanks for joining us tonight for this rendition of the Tech Net. We're going to be talking about JS8CALL. I've got a presentation to go through, and then like Brenda said, when we move over to the demo, we've got a demo to go through. And I'd like to thank, at the very beginning, Evan, KG5ZZA, who is helping us with the demo. So thanks, Evan. I do have a little bit of sound coordination issues. I'm running both machines here to get the Zoom call as well as JS8 going. So, and that you heard some of that just a second ago. So it'll be interesting. But hey, it's going to be a great presentation. There's going to be singing. We've got extra credit questions on early World War I radios and technology of that era. So at the end, so stay tuned for that. And I am going to be IDing every couple of minutes, so it'll probably get a little annoying, but we've been asked to make sure we drop the repeaters and do an ID. Okay, here we go. So I'm assuming everyone can see my presentation. If I can just get a quick thumbs up. Fantastic, here we go. So JS8CALL overview. And just to kick this off, I am a newbie at JS8CALL, and there's some other reasons that I wanted to get into JS8CALL. So I thought, well, signing up to do a Tech Net would kind of force me to learn JS8CALL. So I'm very much a newbie at it, and if I get something wrong in here, just yell out. But JS8CALL is basically with HF, it is a keyboard-to-keyboard interface, keyboard-to-keyboard messaging, really built on the robustness of FT8, and it's kind of on top of some of the greats out there, WS, JTX, FLDigi, FSCALL, and some of the other modes out there that this runs. So, and a little quick disclaimer, as with everything in ham radio, everything in this presentation is really about the hard work and dedication of someone else. So we'd like to especially thank Jordan Scherer, who actually created JS8CALL. So FT8 versus JS8CALL, just a little bit of the history. FT8 is the digital mode, and JS8CALL is the program that uses FT8. We're really creating a chat-like mode here for radio operators. So just some of the key characteristics. Again, it is for HF. There is a frequency set up in VHF for it as one of their standard frequency, but it's mainly used in HF. And you'll see why here in a little bit, because it's ideal for weak signal conditions. Like we said, it's keyboard-to-keyboard messaging. It has a really cool store and forward capability that we'll talk about a little bit. And then you can just set it and let it run, and it'll do automatic station announcements. Like I said, it'll store and forward messages to other people. So very cool stuff. Just running through some of the different operating systems that it runs on. Windows 10 currently is the only officially supported build at this time, or when I created this presentation, things moved firm to work all the way back to Windows XP, and then also works on. Said a minute ago, this version of JS8CALL runs on these frequencies in these bands, and you can see VHF down there as one of the calling channels. So when you get into JS8CALL, you can use any frequency you want, and so you can set it through cat control to work any of the frequencies. These are the frequencies that are set up in, and they're sort of the global calling channels, if you will. This is the full JS8CALL operation screen. It's really the only screen. So you've got your frequency and band control up in the upper left. And if you click on that big old 7.078, it will it'll bring up a list, and then you can select from all your different bands and the frequencies, or you can just stick up and down arrows there. You can put in any frequency you want. And if you've got a cat control set up, it'll change all the information on your radio as well. And moving all the way to the right, upper right, you see normal there. You can set JSA call to run in different modes, a slow mode, a normal mode, or a fast mode. If conditions are really bad, and that's really where JSA call shines, is in bad conditions, lots of noise, JSA call will get through. But you have to run it in the slow mode, which means, it just takes longer to send your messages, basically. And then back over on the left in the band activity, that's where your messages come in. And you're in the center in the yellow box, that's just sort of the directed activity. When you are basically sending messages to people, that's where they pop up. The white box under that, like messages, that's where you actually type in the message to who you want to call. And then over to the far left, you've got calling stations. So once you make contact with a station, or you've put in these groups like these @AllCall or @TTP, then you can click on those just as a quick way to enter them into your message box. And we'll see that when we get into the demo later on, how we use that. And by the way, some of you folks might know what TTP is. TTP is the Tech Prepper. He's one of the YouTube guys that does kind of combines austere radio operations out in the Sonoma Desert. So anyway, and we'll see the rest of this when we get into the demo. So the bottom part is where you've got your all of the information coming in on the signals coming in, basically, and strength. So we'll see that in the demo as well. Any questions on this screen? I guess not, because I'm on RF. So you might be thinking, how did JSA call get its name? Why not something like bacon? Which, that's a great question. So JSA call was previously called FT8 because it uses the custom modulation. But Jordan Scherer kind of named it after himself, keeping the 8. So that's how we come up with JSA call, which is fine because it's a pretty cool mode. So you want to learn more about JS8 Call? Here is a complete user guide that you can click on. It's an online PDF that will tell you all about JS8 Call. Additionally, there is a groups.io team out there that's totally dedicated to JS8 Call for your questions and your conundrums, because it's, for me especially, any digital mode is kind of complex, and it took me a while to get this going. So this presentation, in terms of the presentation, went together really quickly, but getting JSA Call to work was like a month and a half of lots of fun and lots of help from Evan. So you want to get involved with JSA Call? Well, there are JSA Call nets, and here's just a couple of them listed out. There's the JS8 QSO party, which is on the second Saturday of each month. And they're in there using all the different bands. Now, I've not tried to join that one yet, but that one is one that is out there. And I believe there was an email in here, and the gentleman will get back to you if you have questions on it. I don't see the email right now, though. So I can add that and get that out. The second one is the GhostNet weekly JS8 Call Net, and that's from one of the YouTube phenoms amateur radio called S2 Underground, and that net is on Thursday at 7, the same time as our net. So you can do this JS8 Call Net while you're on the CRHRC net on voice. So multitask. But I have joined this one. It's there are people all over the place on this at GhostNet. So like I said, they're going to be up in the upper right. You click on them, and then you can send your message or do a signal to noise ratio and get that back. Like I said, here is our groups.io support for JS8 Call. It's out there. You can find it, right on the main page. You just do the search, and it'll come up. I have not. I have joined this group, but I have not, interacted with them. I'm sure they are there to help, though. The groups.io folks are. All those teams are pretty good. Okay, that is the JS8CALL presentation in a nutshell, short and sweet. What questions do we have out there? I'll go ahead and open up.
This is KJ580. Mike, I have one for you.
Go right ahead.
But anyway, Mike, I noticed that, you had the 2 meter on there, but that's not using FM, I'm assuming? Is that single sideband?
Brenda, I do not honestly have the answer to that question. I would assume it is FM, but you know what happens when you assume, so I do not know.
Some shaking heads, so looks like we've got a question to answer there. Anybody want to jump in and anybody know if that's sideband or FM?
W5CPO, I have a question.
Bill?
As far as the sideband thing goes, I'm pretty sure it is sideband. If it's related to WSJTX, all is, as far as I know, every one of those modes is sideband. I'm not sure that there's one that's FM. And the other question is, so you said you can use it on 2 meters. That would be interesting.
Yes, it would. So, single sideband, I think that would be kind of a very interesting test to do. And with the bands, with that band opening up this Saturday, maybe we can give it a try.
Well, Phil, you are our 2 meter sideband guru. Maybe you could give that a try for us and be our guinea pig.
Well, when it comes to propagation on 2 meters, that forecast, it's sort of like the weather, 50-50. On that day, check the propagation map for 2 meters and see what's going on. Because it changes, and there's been good propagation on 2 meters lately, but that's just because of it's that time of year. In the wintertime, 2 meters pretty much shuts down, and starting in the spring, 2 meters and 440 and 6 meters, the upper bands all start to open back up. So, anyways, yeah, look Friday morning. So JS8CALL is a separate program from WSJTX?
Yeah, it is, Bill. It is a different program. Let me see if I can. Yeah, it's set up for the messaging. And I would be glad to try it anytime you want. I've got a relatively new radio that I'm still learning, but it's got a single sideband on VHF and UHF as well. So I'd love to try it sometime.
I'll throw one more thing in there. On a normal day when there is no propagation, single sideband is good for, on a typical radio that does 50 watts or 100 watts, and you've got a somewhat run-of-the-mill antenna, maybe 50 miles, 70 miles if you're lucky. 500 watts and a big antenna will get you maybe, and they talk with no propagation up to the Dallas area on sideband, but there's a whole lot of ifs in there.
All right. Well, do we have any more questions for Mike? If so, please give your call sign and come ask your question now, please.
This is KI5HVF. There is a question in the chat, and Tree W5PRI wants to know, is there a reason why you want to use 2 meters? Why not use 10 through 80 meters?
To be honest, I didn't realize there was a 2 meters until I think it was Bill and I were talking about it. Bill 9 and I were talking about it, and it came back. I went and did a little research, and there actually is a 2-meter. I have no idea why you would want to use it, but it probably is single sideband, and it's out there. If that's the only thing your radio can do, then you're good to go, I guess. But yeah, I don't know why you would want to use that band.
All right. Are there any more questions for Mike? This is KJ5ADO. Okay, then. This is KJ5ADO on the W5 LCR repeater system with the Crossroads Ham Radio Club's Tech Net number 16. At this time, we're going to open the net for any amateur radio tech-related questions. They don't have to be about this topic. We'll take a few call signs at a time and then call on each of you for your questions. Does anyone have any tech-related questions that they would like answered now? Please call slowly and phonetically.
Whiskey 5 Bravo Sierra Alpha, Joe here in Spring Branch. I have a question, or really kind of a question combination announcement.
Okay, go ahead, Joe, and then I see there's another question in the chat, but we'll go with you first, Joe.
Hey, Brenda, thanks so much. Yeah, along with this, this weekend, Friday and Saturday, is the Ham Festival out in Rosenberg, and I was just talking to, similar to this, JS8CALL, I was just talking to Walter, K5WH, and something very similar that I hadn't heard a whole lot about, but it kind of is also like on leading edge like this with new technology. Walter, I think he said around noon on Saturday, he's going to be doing a program on, it's called 3DV. And basically 3D, you run it on HS, and it really punches through low signal, and the audio quality sounds like FM. Even though you're on HS, there's no hash or anything like that. It sounds like somebody's talking to you on a repeater. So again, kind of along with this bleeding edge technology, if you're going to Hamcom, I really encourage you to go to Walter's session at noon on Saturday out there to find out more about 3DV. Thanks a lot, Brenda. Back to net, W5BSC.
Well, thank you for that, Joe. That definitely sounds like something to check out. Okay, Tree also has another question. He says, can JS send email?
No, JS8CALL is actually, it's a keyboard-to-keyboard messaging, basically, with some store and forward, but you'll see in the demo kind of what we mean by messaging. So it does not send email, though.
I have a comment, KG5ZZA.
Go ahead with your comment, KG5ZZA.
Have a good evening, everybody on the net there. Hey, Mike, and regarding the question there, so not directly, but there is an APRS, there's an APRS functionality that you can use, kind of like a reverse beacon network type thing, and you can send an email. Now, that kind of goes beyond the scope of what we're doing here in the net, but JS8CALL does not directly, you cannot send an email like you can on WinLink through it. But there is a way you can ping APRS beacons to send text messages and emails through JS8. I have not personally attempted that yet. I have seen some documentation and some videos on that. So kind of a convoluted answer. There is a possibility you can, but that is, again, that's a whole other rabbit hole there. But there is a lot of APRS cross-linking into JS8, but that may be a topic for another TechNet down the road. KG5ZZA.
Yeah, like I said, I think at the beginning, kind of being a newbie, I haven't had time to kind of go down any other rabbit holes here. Just trying to get ready for this demo with Evan was work enough, but I think we're there. But yeah, that's an interesting topic, and I'll put that down as kind of one of the next areas to explore. 89 MEQ for ID.
All right. Are there any other questions? Or if not, then I guess we'll go ahead and start the demonstration.
KI5OLG, please.
KI5OLG, go ahead with your question, please.
Okay, thank you, Brenda. It's not related to the topic of the day about JS8CALL, but remember back when we had that HF antenna, Tech Net, and Kelly 85I was talking about this HF antenna that works great just a few inches off the ground. My new animal is going to be cutting down all the trees, so I'm not going to be able to put one up in one because they're going to be gone. So thinking about trying that one that he was talking about. Thank you.
Kelly, do you want to talk about that for just a minute?
This is 85II. Yeah, good evening, everybody, and Laura. I believe that was called the Kilo 3 Mike Tango, I think was the guy's call sign, and it was called I think it was called a ground wire antenna. There's I don't know, do a Google search for that and see what you find. I'll be on here during the chat session. We can chat about it a little bit.
Okay. If we don't have any other questions, then if we want to go ahead and start the demonstration, I guess we could do that.
KB9 MEQ, yep. I'll go ahead and start up the demo. Hi, everyone. Can you guys hear me on the Zoom?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So this is the desktop for, and really the only screen for JS8CALL. Let me get some stuff out of the way here. So essentially, like we said in the presentation, on the left side here are all of the stations that I'm receiving. In the center here are messages that I've directed that have gone out and come back in. Okay, so getting started. This is where you're going to see other messages coming in this section down at the bottom here. So you don't want to send a message out when other signals are coming in. So I am going to try to send a message to Evan, KG5 ZZA. So I'm going to send Evan this message through JS8CALL. I entered it. I put his call sign in here and the message, and I hit go. I hit enter, and in a minute you're going to see this red transmit up here. When these signals clear, it should move to transmit. And there it goes. So now I'm transmitting my JS8CALL signal directly to Evan. And you can see over here in this red box at the bottom here is sending. And it is definitely in slow mode. So it's going to take a few seconds to send that message. Now it'll send a little bit, it'll stop, and then it'll continue sending. So you can see all these short messages up here while we're waiting for that. You can see all these short messages in here. It's really not something that you want to, send a book over. The shorter the better. So you can see people like right here. I asked Evan for information on his station, and his station automatically sent this back to me. So it said, hi, the info's New Braunfels, gave his antenna, and then the radio he's got. So there are automatic messages that come back, as well as you can send just chat messages back. So I'm going to see if Evan responds, and I need to turn this up a little bit. So if you guys want to mute me for a second. Your cat over here needs to be like between 40 and 60. And that is kind of loud, but that's part of the reception. So it's listening for this stuff. And while we're waiting, one thing we've done is, I've got my @GhostNet here. So that's an all call for the GhostNet. We've also built out a CRHRC
Always works when you're practicing until you really are going to put it on the demonstration here. That's the way it goes, but let's see if he can get you a message.
Can you say that again, Brenda? You said Evan's going to send me a message?
Say that again, Brenda.
I said it's, you know, I know they practiced and they got ready and everything worked great. And of course, then when we're actually live, that's when things don't work. So, but anyway, let's see if Evan can get a message to Mike. And if not, then I guess we will close this out.
Yeah, I do want to send to a heartbeat out so you can see kind of how that works. So that'll just take a second. And then I want to send a message to at TTP. Okay, so you guys can see here, Evan, his message came through to me. So he's KG5 ZZA to KB9 MEQ. And we'll give it another second. Oh, he's coming through. So it sends in groups of basically 3. Hi, Mike, trying. And I'm just going to get a quick message back to him.
This is KB5 PBM third-party traffic, Mike.
Not following, sorry. Okay, so I've got Evan's message here. Hi, Mike, trying, do you copy? And I'm going to send back to him. Thanks, Evan, good copy. And here we go. So you can see it is, especially in the slow mode, it's slow. But to really get through, you know, that's what we've been doing. Now, somebody else I talked to yesterday was Dane in Edmond, Oklahoma. And that's about 507 miles away. So I had a really clear conversation with Dane yesterday. So that was interesting. And then the blue line here is somebody that it's just telling me, I'm sorry, green line. The green line's telling me that that's somebody that I can reach back out to, I believe. Where's that call sign in here? It should have an asterisk by it. So the green is somebody that I can talk to. And so this is KC8BN, and they're sending an all-call CQCQ, just looking for somebody to reach out to them. Another thing, over here on the right, in this the call signs that I've received, if you see that star, that means that I can hear them and they can hear me. So that's somebody I can definitely reach out to. And here is Mr. Evan right here. And if I hover my, I'm going to turn this down now so you guys can hear me. So if I hover my mouse over KG5 ZZA, and you can see that I'm hearing him, and I'm hearing him, and he's heard me. So that's what that means. So let me do one more thing. I'm just going to send out a heartbeat. So a heartbeat is something you can send out, and then anybody on the network that hears you automatically, they don't even have to be at their station. If their station is just running, it will come back to you with a signal report. So that tells you your signal report. Sorry, it's sort of a signal to noise ratio over here. So if you look at the 1, 2, 3, 4th column over here on the far right, SNR, signal to noise ratio, and I'm sure everybody knows this. I did not. So plus 13 dB is somebody that's is a really strong signal to me. You know, negative 3 dB, not that strong, and goes down for there. So this station KK4AXT is 25 plus dB. You know, that person's probably very close to me, I would say. So that's kind of how that works. So I've sent out a heartbeat here across the entire network, and we should see some signals coming back in, and they're starting to come in here. And so I can hear them. I'm going to turn this up just a little bit, and you can hear the melodic tones of JS8CALL. And these are just other stations that are coming in. They may or may not be able to hear me if I was to try to reach out to them. And the reason I keep it so loud is because you need to have your cat between 40 and 60 here on the far left. And then, so nobody's coming back to me on the heartbeat, it looks like. I'm going to give it one more second, and then I'm going to send out an all call to, well, here's 81CT talking about giving Evan a heartbeat, a signal to ratio -9 to Evan. And am I in here? Wow, Kentucky. That's pretty far away. Okay, so I'm going to do one more thing, and then we'll call it. I want to send out to TTP a signal to noise ratio. So what I've done is I've clicked into what message do you want to send. So I'm going to just click on signal to noise ratio and send it now that it's quiet. And we're going to transmit basically to the @TTP group, or the tech prepper group. Excuse me. And anybody that's out there is on the network that's monitoring, that has that set up as a group, will respond back to me and say, hey, we can hear you, and here is your signal to noise ratio report. And we're transmitting. Still transmitting because we're in slow mode. And I would like to thank Evan, Evan KG5ZZA. I'm not sure if he's on the Zoom or not, but thank you, Evan, very much for all your help. Could not have done it without you. And I think we both learned a little bit about JS8CALL. All right, so we've sent that message out to the TTP group, asking for signal to noise ratio. Now we're going to give it just a second, about 30 more seconds, and see if any stations come back. So I cannot remember what the blue screen is called. Anybody got an idea?
What was your question again, Mike?
The question was, what is this blue screen called?
Paul?
Say it again. Waterfall, that's it. Yes, waterfall. Thank you. Mine went blank.
Look at the
So-
numbers. There should start around 500 and go up to about 3,500. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
the small area that it uses to transmit the audio signal. You can move like on FT8, you can move your where you're transmitting. You can move it around in between 500 and 3,500.
Exactly. Exactly.
Of other people transmitting at the same time.
All right. So it looks like Evan's able to get out a much better signal than I am tonight, but we wanted to give you just kind of a quick demo of JS8CALL, what it is, how it works. And, we've set this, this calling group up for CRHRC. So, if we want to set up a net, we can do that, or have some training on, Saturday mornings or whatever. So with that, are there any other questions?
45 CPO, got questions?
Go ahead.
CPO, go ahead with your question.
So it looks like you're transmitting on 40 meters, is that correct?
Correct.
So on the right, let's see, where to go? Yeah, on the right side of the screen there's other stations, but they're on, I see 15 meters and 20. I think it's hard to, is there
That's minutes.
frequency, or all those call signs over there on another frequency, or all the frequencies?
They're all on 40 meters. See that up here, the age? That's 2 minutes, 16 minutes. So that's how old they are.
I got you. It's hard to see. It's pretty small, so I couldn't tell if that was band meters or what that was over there.
Gotcha. Yeah, that just tells me how long I received a message. So this one's 15 seconds. So he just came in, or she. Good question, though.
It's pretty cool.
Yes. So this is all on 40 meters. And see, if I click here, I can pick the band I want to go to. And these are sort of the JS8CALL calling stations, if you will. If I want to set up like, if I want to have a QSO with somebody in a different frequency, I can just click here and they go up in, I think, in some kind of increments, I guess in 250 increments here. So I can change my frequency here, or just go back to 40 meters. And my radio is changing through cat control. So yep, I'm hearing all these stations out there.
What radio are you using?
It's a FT991A. Humming away over there. I'm going to turn it down. Other questions? These are good questions.
Live ADO on the W5 LCR repeater system with the Crossroads Ham Radio Club's monthly Tech Net session. This will be the last call for questions. Anyone else have questions for Mike? Okay, then, we're coming up on an hour, so we're going to wrap up tonight's Tech Net RF session. Remember, we'll stay on Zoom for a RAG2 session after the net. Before leaving the net, I want to give everyone an opportunity to get checked in. If you haven't already checked in through this early check-in, Zoom, or NetLogger, then now is your opportunity to do so. Please give your call sign slowly and phonetically twice. Call now.
Hey, Brenda, we had a question in the chat room from Tree. You can also click on log right below transmit to log your contact. That's just a information.
Thank you for pointing that out. Yes, you can. It's very similar to the when you log an FT8 contact. It'll log it for you, and you can set it all up, and it'll save it for you.
Where was that again?
Right then, this is KJ5ADO, and I would really like to give a big thanks to Mike, KB9MEQ. Sorry, forgot your call sign. For this great presentation, and you, Evan, for helping out. I'd like to thank everyone that participated in tonight's TechNet number 16. Also, we want to give a big thanks to all the TechNet team members who helped in making tonight's net a success. If you have any questions regarding the TechNet or would like to join the TechNet team, you can send an email to info@CRHRC.org. Again, that's info @CRHRC.org. Again, please note that many of us will remain in the Zoom session for a general rag chew. I will now close the RF session of the Crossroads Ham Radio Club's monthly TechNet. This is KJ5ADO, returning the repeaters back to normal amateur radio use. 7-3, and good night all.
You have been listening to a TechNet presentation of the Crossroads Ham Radio Club. For more information on this club, go to www.CRHRC.org. For information on upcoming TechNets, go to technet.crhrc.org.